You are now listening to Out of the Blank.
Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Jake Newcomb.
Here I am. Thanks for having me on.
He's dropping bombs on LA.
Dropping bombs on LA?
I guess. Do you like LA?
Oh, I'm in Portland, Oregon, man. So
I know.
I'm
I'm just asking if you like LA. I like Hawaii, even though I live in
LA.
Maryland.
LA, yeah. I've actually only been there once, and it was a surreal time because I went to all the movie studios, Warner Brothers Studios, and I went to Family Feud, and it was just a trip.
Hang on a second. You went to Family Feud?
I did, yeah.
Did you meet Steve Harvey?
We spent an insanely long amount of time with Steve Harvey. We had to watch 2 episodes in a row, yeah, it was a trip. It was quite the experience.
I always wanted to be on like The Price is Right or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with
Sure.
Regis, because I feel like I could do pretty good on that show. But with The Price is Right, I just want a $1 somebody, because
Yeah.
they're the worst people in the world. Like, you're like $26.99, and then a woman's like $1, and you just look over like, bitch, did you really just do that to me?
She did it. Right now, if they put up a roll of toilet paper, you wouldn't know what to guess anymore.
Oh,
you know?
God,
It's
don't
like,
bring
that's
up
gold.
that thing. It's okay, people. We don't need toilet paper. We can shower. I've done it 8 times probably in one day. It's all good.
Or get a bidet.
There you go. Look, Amazon sells them for like $30. I tried to buy that and a glow-in-the-dark light for my toilet, because why do you just want to turn on the light switch when you can just have your toilet glow up for you?
That's pretty nice, yeah.
That's why you keep your bank card in your car. So Amazon is like, hey, are you sure you want to purchase this? Put in your bank card. You're like, I'm not going outside at 2 o'clock in the morning to go grab my bank card.
No.
Well, Jake, tell me a little bit about yourself and what do you do professionally, or whatever you want to talk about.
Sure. So I live out here in Portland, and I studied audio engineering and sound engineering, mostly to record, with the idea to make albums and record myself and my friends and bands and make records. Ever since leaving college about 6 years ago, I found that most of my work has come in the live sound engineering world, which is, mixing shows, concerts, or running events, and sometimes working in theater. Most of my work has been in the theater world, either composing or creating sound design, sometimes with short movies and things like that. But I've always been dabbling with other things on the side. I can't really just do one thing. So recently, I guess the past 5 months, I started a hot sauce company, and it's gained some ground, gained some speed, had a successful Kickstarter with it. It's called Newks Sauces, which is a play off my last name, Newcomb. And that's been picking up more attention, and I've been getting I have to do more work with that now than I do with sound engineering, especially now with all my gigs canceled. We have an ordinance here in Oregon, almost like everywhere in the country. I'm pretty sure at this point you can't have big gatherings, so all my gigs have been canceled. But thankfully, my home kitchen is licensed, and I've been cranking out hot sauce because I've got a big order coming up with Fuego Box, hot sauce subscription company. I got to make 1,000 bottles in my house this next few weeks, so halfway there. But yeah, that's basically my little story in 20 seconds. That kind of catches you up to the now of where I'm at.
Well, even where did you get the advertisement that came across your phone where you're like, I'm going to decide to make hot sauce, from going from theater production and music production, all these studio types of engineering things, to straight up doing hot sauce? That's like, if when I get an ad on my phone and it's like, hey, want to go join the Amish people out in the country and make wood furniture? I'm like,
That sounds pretty good.
it's interesting.
Especially right now. Yeah. Well, it wasn't anything like that. It was just that I've always liked to cook food, and I lived in Boston for a while. I have good friends there still, and every time I go home, I usually go to my friend Eric's house, and he's a hot sauce freak. And I thought it was hilarious. One time he was telling me stories about wearing like almost a full hazmat suit, just cooking hot sauce with the goggles and the gloves. And he gave me some of it. I thought it was delicious, and I thought I'd give it a try one time. I just dabbling with it, and then I made a bigger batch and I put it in bottles and gave it to friends. I printed out a really horrible logo that I made, and people just being like, "Can I buy this? Can I try this?" And you can't legally sell it until you get FDA certifications and get all sorts of legal stuff finished. And there's just so much attention on it that I was like, I'll give it a shot, and I just kept making them, and they kept giving them away, and then I started selling them and getting all the legal stuff finished, and now I'm here and just continuing to roll with it. And
I feel like the FDA should look at hot sauces a little bit closely, or they probably do. Only on the fact is when you put the story on the side of the bottle, like sure to
yeah.
make your mouth bleed. It's like
Yeah.
FDA is like, why?
Yeah.
Why is it going to do that? Is this going to harm the people? But like, do you have an original flavor or do you have multiple flavors?
Yeah, so I have an original one, which I think it is pretty original. I mean, it's a banana based hot sauce, which I don't know if you've ever heard of anything
I
like.
tried to make a recipe out of it, dude. I shot to a few hot sauce people. I was like, imagine if you took coconut and then you
Uh-huh.
took chunks of banana, like so they were kind of globbed up in the hot sauce and then had it
Yep.
on there. So it was like a tropical blast.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know this, but people have told me since I've shared the sauce with them, they're like, oh, yeah, this is like island hot sauce, like what they make in the Caribbean or something like that. Like, apparently, it's common out there to use bananas for hot sauces, but
Yeah, depending on your typical area, after talking to so many people involved in the I think I'm the only guy in the hot sauce community that it doesn't make hot sauce or doesn't eat chilies or something. I'm like
uh-huh.
just somehow slipped in there from talking to so many of you guys. But
Yeah.
when it comes to Caribbean style is more tropical flavors, Mexican or
Hmm.
Hispanic style is more dealing with the peppers. Those play a factor too, such as like habaneros, um, ghost peppers, or all these types of things go into a whole different culture like Central America, and it's all different stylings and flavors.
Yep. Yep. And I just yeah, so I got that one sauce, and that was the original one, and then I branched out a bit more and I got a chipotle sauce, and I'm pretty much have finished a green sauce now, which is going to be kind of like a more traditional Mexican style one with a little twist of green apple and maple syrup. I want to make it a little bit more unique than what we're used to seeing, and just having fun with it. But yeah, it's just kind of naturally grown, and I've had a lot of friends in the business that are helping me along the way. My friend Eddie Mello at Grillo's Pickles has been helping me figure out this stuff because I don't have any business background, and he's been selling pickles for like 10 years out of Boston. They used to dress up as a pickle outside Fenway Park and sell them for $1 a spear, and now they're in New Seasons and Whole Foods around the country, and it's the best pickle you'll ever eat. And then just like people online, there's a hot pepper forum, which is super helpful to gain knowledge on how to start up. And
Yeah, the chili pepper community is pretty helpful in general.
yeah, I was shocked. So I get messages every day on Instagram from strangers who just buy a bottle, and I'm just blown away by the support, and I'm trying to do the same back when I
Yeah,
can.
I'm a big supporter of the hot sauce community. I've broken into a few other communities like the pizza community, ice cream community, but with the hot sauce community, it's weird because,
What's that ice cream community like? I want to get in that.
dude, it's the complete opposite of the hot sauce community when it comes to like
Yeah,
what you guys are all interested in. Because like with the hot sauce community,
cold.
I have a couple friends there. I got Harmon Heat, Justin Harmon. I got from Two Angry Cats, Josh Williams, Jeff Levine
Yeah,
from
he's been
Silks.
helping me a lot. We chat a lot online. Two Angry Cats.
Yeah, he's a great dude. He's a good sponsor for the podcast too. Amazing guy, amazing sauce. Love it. He's trying to create some flavor combinations. He's always bouncing me back ideas and stuff, which I love to do because I like
Nice.
being a part of the creative process, even though I don't really care about like the money or anything. Just like feeling like involved in something.
Sure.
Um, Silk City Hot Sauce, Jeff Levine. He's a great guy too.
Yeah.
I just had his hot sauce like a minute ago. He has that smoky flavor. I love capturing that essence in a bottle. But
Mm.
and then Caesar, who makes his own hot sauce as well. Every time like we're talking to each other, it's all beneficial and they're very, very supportive. And it's completely different. Usually they're talking about like Scovilles and they're talking about all these other things that go into peppers. And then I go into the ice cream community and
Right.
they're like talking about flavors of ice cream. Like, did you know you could put waffle cone in this? And I'm like, what is happening right now? And then even the donut
Yeah.
community is a little bit freaky to me. I'm like, all right, we're heading down a weird road. I'm like a whole mixture
Yeah.
of all of them.
Well, we've got those things out here in Portland, Oregon. I mean, it's a food city, so we have people who go crazy about donuts and ice cream. There's a couple ice cream spots out here. The line is just like out the door all the time, salt and straw. And I was thinking it'd be funny to get like a Newks hot sauce like flavored ice cream and call it spice cream or something like that. There's my $1 million idea just shot out. Actually, I have to tell the world that my friend Nicole came up with that name. She's always got the clever names.
Shout out to Nicole.
Yeah. So yeah, that's generally the gist. And to get back on like the whole like the ingredients on the side or the story on the side being like so hot that it hurts your mouth, like that's not something we ever want to do. I do have a pretty damn hot sauce at this point. I need to have one in the family, because I get it. I get it. People want to have that, but it doesn't hurt. And I don't want to make food that hurts. I want something that just like has a lot of flavor and boosts the dish that you're eating. And
Well, the weird part about the hot sauce community is you're going to have two separate things of audiences. You're going to have one, the people that want to do the challenges, the chili heads is what they call them, the one that are like,
yeah,
I want my asshole to bleed when I eat the hot sauce. And then you're going to have the regular audience where it's like, I want it to be hot, but I don't want it to ruin my meal. You still want it to add flavor. And this is where we see
yeah,
some hot sauce producers like yourself. You probably want to aim more towards giving it to more people, getting more
yeah.
popularity aspect of it, rather than just trying to give it to the famous chili heads that just want to consume it just for a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not my thing. So that's just not what I make, right? So like if I was one of those people, then I'm sure I would make that hot sauce. But since I don't care to do that, I'll never eat a Carolina Reaper pepper by itself. Like that's just not what I want to do. I won't even
Don't
eat a
do it.
habanero.
Don't
But
do it.
yeah, it's not my
I don't
thing.
recommend it. It wasn't a fun experience when I did it.
Yeah, you did it. Okay. I mean, all this being said, I have some fans that are like you said, the chili pepper heads, like extreme heat. They're usually down in Texas and or Arizona or someplace that's just like hot. And they love the sauce regardless of the fact that it's not nearly as hot as some of the others that they get. But yeah, so
Well, I mean, it's just a man card thing too when you're trying something super spicy. But I like a lot of the stuff that's really flavorful too. Like I'm really good handling spice. When it comes to, like, I always dump cayenne pepper on like all my meals and stuff.
mm,
I like it nice and hot, but at the
mm-hmm,
same time, I also like one with a really good flavor.
mm,
And very few hot sauces have that out of the ordinary flavor. I mean, throughout
mm,
every single restaurant you want to talk about is Tabasco sitting on a table or something. It's like
sure,
it's way too watery for me. I don't really enjoy it that much, but I mean, I like a nice thick sauce, one that has like a little bit of a paste to it, just because
okay,
it sits a little bit better. I mean, even probably when you're making your one with banana in it, it probably is a little bit thicker compared to the lighter watered down sauces that are so popular that everyone loves, only because they love the name Tabasco and they just know it.
sure, yeah, it's like a household name. Yeah, I would say I get like in the thicker sauce world sometimes. It's hard because like I do small batch sauces, right? So like I max out in my kitchen with about 100 bottles. Like if I go to a commercial kitchen, I can crank out maybe 3 to 5. But I'm still new to the game. That like I went to a commercial kitchen last week, and I wanted it to be a huge success. I went in with ambitions to make 600 bottles, and truth be told, we only made like 250 bottles, and then I realized this sauce is browning. It's getting darker than I'd like it to because I'm not used to cooking such a large batch, and you have to keep the sauce at such a high temperature to kill bacteria while you're bottling. And I had to dump a lot of it. So I'm still learning, but basically, as you're in the cooking process, it starts almost more watery, all right, and then you find the desired consistency. And then but as you go along, I mean, unless you're adding vinegar and water into it, it's going to get a little bit thicker. But these are just things that I guess maybe if you're a cook or a chef, and it's your product, you see it more than the consumer sees it. But
Well, you're your biggest critic too when it comes to your own food as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Like,
totally, totally.
and even when you're making hot sauce too, like even going out of the ordinary, it's just when you're
Yeah,
creating a hot sauce, it's really hard to make something unique only because everything is basically seems like it's already been done. So what you try and do is try and develop it into your own style.
yeah, you got
Like
to.
if you're gonna make a pineapple and you're gonna make whatever a banana hot
Yeah,
sauce or something, that's probably already been done. You just got to figure out how you're gonna make it very unique to Newcomb
yeah,
sauces.
yeah, yeah. And I have a friend who put out a good point the other day. He's like, maybe it doesn't always have to be something wild in there. Maybe you can just make something that's good and traditional. And if you got good branding and like people like you as a person, then maybe it'll sell well. But I don't know, man. I'm just trying to make some good sauces, and if people like it, that's great. And so far, it has been. I can't even really keep up with it. I'm looking at like 20 bottles on my desk right now that I got to get out. I got to go cook another 100. I got to get 1,200 out on a pallet. I've never done that. Like it's just it's crazy right now, and I'm just rolling with it, and I'm really grateful for all the stuff that's been coming my way, especially with this weird situation we're in the world right now. Like I can't go outside. I can't go to shows. I can't you see my friends. Like there's nothing else for me to do but make 1,200 bottles of hot sauce right now, I guess. And
Well, what is your considered your favorite part about making hot sauce in general? Would you say that it's the kind of the discovery or creative factor of creating something new, or would you say it's a lot of it happens to do with the marketing aspect of it? Because I found myself
yeah.
pretty fascinated with just the marketing side of products.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a good question. I have a lot of fun with that side of things, with the presentation and the look and the photography and like it can be fun, you know. Like I just figured out how to make my own claymation commercial the other day. I just set up a camera in our garage and started playing with clay and I made a clay Newks commercial, which I haven't put out yet, but I will this week. And it's just like, yeah, that side of it is really fun, the creative aspect of it.
Well, you got
And
a
then
perfect last name for it, dude. Are you kidding me? Like
yeah.
it's Nuke is literally basically in your name, so you can incorporate that into hot sauce, like Nuke
Yeah.
sauces or something. But at the same time, it's like you should have been having weird flavor combinations. Like obviously there's original, but then you can call it Mega Nuke is like a
Mega
ch-
news.
extreme death one, or Nuked on Love or something, which is like a one with like cherry in it, where it's got some
Yeah.
flavor to it. You know what I mean?
I like that. I like that. Yeah, keep the ideas coming. Yeah, I got lucky with the name, I guess. My dad he always put nuke Newk on all of his art. He was like he was a painter and a ceramicist, and all the bowls at his house that he made, like you can see nuke just written with like a knife at the bottom of the clay, and it's just always been there. So I don't know, it all just came to me. I got lucky with that. And then my friend Joanne, she made the artwork, and it's just been, it all feels very close to home, and I don't know, I like it. It's been,
Well, it's even for getting new viewers too. Like a lot of people always talk about like it's got to have good taste. People will stand by the great taste. That is very, very true. And I do stand with that. But at the same time, we live in a world where people are not trying things that are new that much. We're mostly trying things we know that are good, especially when we go to the store and we think about money. In desperate times, we're going to go with things that we already know. Folgers coffee. I know that's a good coffee. I'm not going to try that stuff from Uganda or whatever. I'm going to try Folgers coffee. But it's like, in this world, like for you, you want to capitalize on the media part of it, making claymation films or trailers or commercials for your sauce where people are gonna be like, whoa, that's an awesome ass commercial. The next thing you know, they're buying your sauce and then they're loving it.
yeah, and it's playful and it's fun, and it doesn't have to be this like, it doesn't have to be like it doesn't feel like a big business or something, right? Like I come from like punk rock aesthetics of like, I don't know, DIY. Like the fact that like I started doing this, just like designing the labels myself, going down to the local print shop, figuring out how the fuck I can put it on all this like sticker paper, like banging my head against the wall on how to do it. But I'm also having fun, and then like cutting them all by hand, like I would with flyers when I was a kid, like putting on my own shows and sticking them on the bottle, and they look crooked. But like it's just like there's a charm to that style, and it kind of is reflected in the company, I think. And I just want it to be like that, you know, always. I don't want it to like become like some, I don't know, gourmet fancy ass sauce. That's like, it just feels disconnected. Like I don't know. It's just got this charm to it that I really enjoy,
You want the sauce to be a sauce of the people, not a sauce for pretentious people.
yeah,
Because
it's just
sometimes there's an elegance to people think like there's a certain sauce flavor, a certain food, or a certain drink, or a certain thing that gets mixed up with being like fancy or rich culture. I'm like, no, I like it to be like personal when I grab it. I don't like to feel like each dump is like $100 down the drain. You know what I mean?
yeah, no way. Yeah, and that's another thing. I'm trying to keep the prices down. Like, I was shocked, and I still am shocked. And I kind of get it, but some companies ask for a lot. They ask for a lot of money for this hot sauce, and like,
What would you consider a large amount of money for hot sauce?
well, it's mostly the shipping. The online shipping is a hard thing to figure out. Like, I've seen, a reasonable price for maybe like for a small batch hot sauce, something like what I'm doing, like $15, right? And then you go to shipping and it's like, oh, it's another 12 to $15. And I'm just like, holy shit. I saw a lot of that. But I realized, like, especially at this stage, like, I'm not trying to stack a bunch of money or anything like that. I'm trying to get the name out, trying to get people interested in it. And why would people want to buy it if they haven't tried it? So I'm trying to keep it down to a price where I can ship it. I can get my money back for manufacturing and ingredients and just a little bit of my time. Um, but but
And
yeah,
you're
I
trying to
mean,
do it in a small town way, like a lot of entrepreneurs are starting to do. Like, you got to get the product out there, so you got to send a lot of free samples. You got to do a lot of this
yeah,
stuff. But what makes me
yeah,
sick is when I see a company that's like, "Here's 30 something dollars for one bottle of hot sauce." Like, I'm a fan of the heatinist hot sauces, but they are really fucking expensive only because
yeah,
they sponsor hot ones or they've been on
sure,
hot ones for so much, so they think they're really really high and mighty. But people will pay for that sauce. But I'm
yeah,
like, I'm not gonna shell out 20 or $30 for a bottle of hot sauce. The most I'll pay is probably under like $13 if that's I really like that sauce or something.
uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I understand that completely. And I mean, maybe if the ingredients like truffle sauce, like, I mean, they're using ingredients that are really expensive, so that makes sense. And their bottles look fantastic. And like, I don't know how much that all costs to source, but I mean, that's really none of my business. However a company wants to run, it's just for me personally. I'm just trying to keep it, within range of something that's not going to break someone's bank for putting sauce on a cheeseburger or whatever.
Well, how do you create your combinations of flavors too? Like, where do you come up with your ideas?
It's just, I don't know, man. It's kind of random. I mean, the first one I did, it was like the original banana sauce. It took a few tries. Like, the first one was a little weird. I was like, I don't know if this is right. I tried it at home a couple times, showed it to my girlfriend. She was like, it's pretty good. And then I don't know, man. It's hard to say where that stuff comes from.
What do you
The
use typically pepper wise? Habaneros, ghost peppers?
habanero, and serrano. I like those a lot. I'm not crazy about jalapenos, though. The new green sauce I'm going to be doing jalapeno, serrano, but I think with the colors a lot, right? I love the color aspect of things. So I'm like, if I want a green sauce, what do I then? I just think green produce. What do I got? And I'll literally go to Google. I'll say green produce, and like I need to know images to know that. But grapes or apples and like all sorts of stuff come up, and I'm like, all right. And then I make a list in my computer of ingredients, and I'll go out to the store and I'll just buy all of it, and then I'll come home and I'll just put it on the table and I'll start putting it out in different portions and just start experimenting with my blender. And you just throw it in the pot and you get it up to temperature, and you just kind of add things in here and there. You take notes. You got to get it. If you want to make a hot sauce, you got to get a scale, and you got to go down to the gram. You got to get real precise with tracking your recipe, so you can re-emulate it. And if you keep it to natural ingredients, you're going to be better up. Like, you're going to have better luck to scale it up later, right? When you want to produce it. So yeah, get a scale, get all the ingredients you think you want to mess with, start small, write down, like, track meticulously, like, what you're putting in. If it wants to be more sweet, then put more fruit in. If it wants to be hotter, put more pepper in, and just keep playing with it and get the balance right.
That's the hardest for me to try and do is get measurements done correctly. I think at one point
Yeah.
my buddy was running a vape store and he was like, "Why don't you create your own juice?" And I would just throw a bunch of random stuff in a bottle and try it. I made a bunch of flavors that were top sellers, but I could never reproduce the original. He could for
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
because he
Yeah.
wrote it down, but I didn't
Yeah.
understand the measurements and all those factors behind it. I just started squeezing stuff
Same.
into a bottle and see what happens.
Yeah, that was the same way with me when I started. Like I was like, oh shit, now I gotta make it again from memory. And then but yeah, all you need to do, literally get a scale and write it down. Write down every ingredient, throw it in the pot, and then the next time you do it, you'd be surprised how similar it comes out.
Have you ever thought about incorporating, like, I'm gonna toss this flavor at you and see if you might think it's interesting, but trying lemons and blueberries?
I've never thought of that. That sounds interesting. Little zesty bloobs. That's
Well, like, yeah, like kind of
zesty
like that.
bloob sauce.
But like if you try like a really strong burst of lemon and then do
Uh-huh.
blueberries, what's really strange about lemon and blueberries, just from like I'm a big produce guy, so I know like all
Mm.
about the whole produce section and department, and I know what flavors are really kind of different when it comes to their nutritional basis of things. Um,
Mm.
lemons, that first hit, like if you have lemon and blueberry together, it's very, very strong. You're gonna get hit with a wave of lemon, and then right after the lemon relief, there's a
Mm.
blueberry wave that hits you. So then it's nice and
Nice.
tangy at the ending, which I think will be pretty cool if you incorporate that with a nice serrano pepper, or if you incorporate it with like you were saying, what was the other pepper you just said?
The serrano and the jalapeno
Yeah, the
habanero. Those,
jalapeno. That would be
yeah.
good with the jalapeno. See, like if you do a
Yeah.
jalapeno sauce, it's gonna
Oh, that
be
sounds delicious.
well, if you're gonna do a jalapeno sauce, it's gonna be a green basis.
Sure.
That's what it's gonna look like. But then if you incorporate something like cheese or like a nice thin layer of that, you're gonna have like a jalapeno popper, which a lot of people are gonna love, especially if it's in a sauce. But if you incorporate lemon and blueberry into a sauce, such as like with a jalapeno or habanero
Mm.
pepper, be careful with the habanero because it is a little bit of a different flavor profile, which you probably
Mhm.
understand a little bit more about. But when you do a blueberry and a lemon flavor, I mean, you could call it something like uh, radiated heat or something. I mean, you got literally the name nuke, so you can think of everything from things that start with like the nuke phrase, or you can do with radiation, or you can do with atomic. You literally have the whole kind of category of roads right here to choose from.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, I think you should start your own. I mean, you've got ideas too. I mean, damn, out of the blank hot sauce or something. I don't know
I
what you
only
need.
have one hot sauce for this podcast. It was made by Josh Williams from Two Angry Cats, where we did like blackberries and we called it firing blank. That is as far as I can go when it comes to making the hot sauce. I don't know a clue how to do it, and I really don't have the aspiration to make my own.
Yeah. What keeps you busy? What's you said you were working at a casino, but
Yeah, I mean, besides doing work,
you're a younger guy.
yeah, I mean, besides doing work and then doing the podcast too, I mean, and then working out as well. Like, I don't know. I try and record as many of these as I possibly can, just because I think we all have something out there and we all have the ability to have a conversation. I mean, I don't really have any aspirations on the horizon. If I could do this for the rest of my life, I sure as hell
Yeah,
would.
this is great, man. I run a podcast as well with my friend called Degenerate Life. But yeah, I mean, it's really easy to talk to you. You got it down, and you got a lot of episodes up there. So
Now I'm curious.
just
Degenerate
don't
life.
stop. Yeah, man, don't go there. It's just a wasted time.
I need to. I got to. You opened up Pandora's box, and I want to know what's inside.
It's just a waste of time. When we're done with the podcast, I'll have to ask you how you do these remote podcasts because we've had guests scheduled that we've had to cancel. I'm the one canceling. I don't know how you feel right now, but I am like not going outside. I was like, no thanks. I mean, we have a studio and we have a cool guest lined up and it's clean in there and everyone has no symptoms, but I was like, I'm not messing around right now.
Well, podcasting is interesting. I don't know. How long have you been doing it?
We started in his garage maybe right around the time the hot sauce started, actually, maybe 6, 7 months ago. And now we've kind of upgraded to his studio. Yeah, something like that.
My
Under a
podcast
year.
has completely switched from when I first started. It used to be all in person where I'd have people come over to my house. Like I just meet people on the street and be like, "Hey man, my name's Rob. I own a podcast. Want to come over?" Like people that I barely know, which was kind of
Whoa.
weird. Just I
Whoa.
had a few times someone would knock on my house and be like, "Hey man, what's up?" I'm like, "Come on, we'll go introduce ourselves on the podcast." Like that was me meeting them was when I started recording. But they're
Whoa.
deeper conversations, more meaning because the person's sitting right in front of you. So they went on for a while.
Yeah.
And then when I switched over to this was completely different guest wise. It's a little bit easier because like it's just audio. So people are like they can go in their sweatpants. They don't really care. You know, they don't have to get
Sure.
all gussied up. And
Yeah, I thought about wearing my sweatpants today, dude, but I was like, if I put pants on, I'll probably feel a little bit more up to task. So I got jeans. I got all my clothes on right now.
I'm glad to know you're not shirtless touching yourself. Thank you.
All my clothes, and I'm wearing slippers. That's
But when it comes down to even your hot sauce too, like, do you try and incorporate like what's the story behind it? Besides, like, do you have you thought of a creative one, like in the fires of an atomic village in Japan, a 19 something whatever? Do you have something like that?
no, no, I don't. I haven't, I haven't had any time to like mess with the folklore of the company. I think it will be fun eventually to come back down to earth from this Fuego box order and play around with that stuff because I do like companies that have, like I said, they have like this charm and funness attached to them somehow. And yeah, I could. I mean, I thought when I was doing the claymation, it'd be cool if I had like a little character that I could have, like the Nukes guy. Like we have faces on the bottle. If people like know the bottle, they know the logo is like four faces like exhaling a nuclear bomb cloud out of their mouths. And I thought maybe I could make them be like my character or something, but no, I don't really have any sort of mythological story, but that sounds kind of fun. I should start messing around with that. Or maybe I'll hire someone to write like a short story because I know a lot of folks in the theater world who can write really well. It'd be
That's
funny
what
to
I'm saying. You should hop on the theater aspect because if you notice with everybody in the chili community, unless they're doing hot sauce reviews or something on YouTube, which gets their page popular, all the hot sauce company guys, besides having like a cool label, which is like the basis of it, but they don't really have any good videos or any things that are going to get people interested in it. Like if you look on promoting or advertising anywhere, they're
yeah.
like, why don't you add a small clip so catch somebody's attention? Because people want to see a trial of it and then they're going to click into the actual thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, man. I'm still learning. I'm surprised there's so many people in this community that I was so blind to it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've spent my whole life involved with art and music, and then I just jumped into this, and I was like, holy shit, there's this whole world here. And the YouTube channels, like shout out to Woo, that's hot. That guy, he's there in Ohio. He's just reviewing hot sauces that get sent into him, and he was the first one that put me on the map. He did the Nukes hot sauce review, and I believe, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I believe he said it was like one of his favorite hot sauces that has been sent in. So that felt really nice. Um, but I think he's starting to grow a little bit. And yeah, again, I'm getting messages all the time from people. I'm just like, I'm blown away, man. I'm blown
Isn't
away.
it weird how the hot sauce community is so like beneficial or so like happy towards each other, like very, very helpful? And then you look at things like music, and the music industry is just like turning into like a toxic waste dump. I mean, no pun reference there with the hot sauce name, but the whole fact is like everybody's like, oh, you could have did this, you could have did that. I'm just looking at all the comments like, wow, guys, you guys just be creating like, isn't musical creation supposed to be someone's own interpretation of something, but you have people criticizing and people like the song sucks. I'm like, I have never seen anybody that says this hot sauce sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be that way with music, but I mean, I think the more you dial it back to like local scenes and small communities of music, then you'll find that people are usually pretty good to each other and supportive. But yeah, I guess if you're talking like larger scale bands or touring stuff or commercialized music, then people just talk shit.
Well, it's because also at the same factor, if you look at everybody's got a fire mixtape, everybody's doing their own beats in their garage or something. I mean, I like it that there's so much creative influence out there, but it becomes ends up being like podcasting is. I mean, podcasting communities aren't that beneficial towards one another. A lot of people are really judgy. A lot of people think that
Mm,
their show's the best. A lot of people
mm.
have their own idea. It's only because, like, if you look up a podcast, true crime, spooky, all whatever
Yep.
horror, all these ones,
Yep.
there's millions of them out there
Sure.
because everyone can do the same thing. Talk about horror, talk about true crime, talk about whatever. And then that becomes a competition aspect. And that's where we see with the hot sauce community and the pizza community, all these other communities, they're
Yeah.
all like self providers or self starters. So
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
so beneficial.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like trying to resist the competition is really important for me. Like I don't give a fuck if there's another hot sauce vendor at the farmers market. Like I want business for everybody. I want to help people just as people are helping me. And yeah, like Hab Sauce is another Portland, Oregon based company. This guy's been just like every single day I have like 5 questions to ask him. Am I doing this properly? How do you manage this? How do you do this? And he's just quick on. I've never even met the guy in person, and he's just like relentlessly giving me advice, and like, so Hab sauce, and he just sent me 4 bottles, and his new Serrano tequila sauce is just the bomb. Like, it's so good. And he has this soy sauce, which is, I've never heard of a spicy soy sauce, but tried it last night on rice and some tempeh and vegetables. It was just proper.
It's
So yeah,
just proper. I love that.
it was just good, man. And so yeah, like supporting the community, not having this be some weird, you know, competition is important. I don't want to get any like cutthroat sauce people in my life, I'm still so new to it, but
What about when it comes to your sauces in general? What do you think that they typically go on pretty well? Like a nice steak, a nice fish?
a lot of people have saying the original goes really well on breakfast sandwiches, and I can definitely see that in pizza. But I mean, damn, I think you could throw it on anything, man. I think it's an everyday sauce. The chipotle, definitely for like soups, chilies, and pizzas for sure. That's kind of our unsung hero right now. It's just like it doesn't get as many orders or as much attention, which makes sense because it's not the original, but it is pretty damn tasty, I gotta say. The new green one I'm stoked about. And I will say right now for the first time, like, we're gonna do, it's kind of hard to describe, but my friend Emil Amos is a musician. He plays in this band called Ohm and Grails and Holy Sons. And we did a hot sauce label. Like, we took the Newks original and put a label of one of his album covers on it, right? And kind of twisted it into a hot sauce label. So it's like a spin-off, like commemorative album hot sauce, if that makes any sense. I'm not sure, but we did that like 3 or 4 months ago with one of his records, and we made a short run of like 100 bottles, sold them all. And we're doing for the new green sauce, the Nukes Verde, or whatever I choose to call it, which will be out this summer, I would assume. We're going to do, the first wave of orders will be a lilacs and champagne bottle. So that is not the ingredients. That's his other band. So if this makes any sense, I'm not sure, but he has a band called Lilacs and Champagne, and we're going to do a commemorative label for Lilacs and Champagne with the green sauce. And then once those sell out, we'll put the Nukes green label on it, and it'll be part of the
Like a
roster from
limited
there on.
edition type thing.
Yeah. So
Well, that's
that'll be fun.
interesting because if you know a lot of people involved in the music industry, what you could do is,
Yeah.
well, like I've seen with very, very, very rare companies actually do is like if they have a certain product company and then they have their music business as well, they'll incorporate the label like you could for your hot
Mm-hmm.
sauce logo into their album cover, like hidden. So then people can find that, and then it's like a little secret, like when you discover a secret menu item. So then
Uh-huh.
people will look up your sauce, and then you'll have a hint of their music thing on your sauce bottle. Then people are going to be curious to what those are, look them up, and then bam, you guys are getting people that are immediately finding your stuff and then finding a little secret, and that makes them love it even more.
Yeah. It's just we're just staying connected and having fun, like, I've always followed Emil's music ever since I was like 15 years old, and he wants to throw down on another collaboration, so we're gonna do it. It's gonna be fun.
Do you have ever get like a little bit of worry just with the company and not wanting to kind of continue with it when it like you could become overwhelmed? I mean, you're telling me you're making so many bottles of hot sauce. I feel like I'd
Yeah.
get overwhelmed with it.
Yeah, I got super overwhelmed last week, the most overwhelmed I've ever been in the commercial kitchen. I mean, it was my first time sizing up that scale, and I messed up and had to dump maybe $400 worth of ingredients down the drain. I did not feel good after that, man. And but you know what? You got to just like sleep on it. And then I woke up the next day and I was like, look, I got an order to fulfill. That was a bad day, and we're gonna get through it, and we're gonna turn it around, and you just make it work. And you know what, if this became a thing where I was more stressed than I was having fun, then I would call it. But for now, I'm having more fun than I am feeling stressed, and it's totally worth it. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I've always worked extremely hard my whole life, so I come from Maine, where everyone just fucking, you come out of the womb and you got a hammer in your hand and you're working on something, like.
You got a lobster roll there too.
Yeah, you're working on fucking sailboats. I mean, I've lived on sailboats. I've, yeah, I've worked really hard my whole life. So doing this right now isn't that crazy to me.
Well, even with what you want to do in the long run, do you want to turn this into a business, or do you have something else planned in mind? You're talking about theater production, which I'm pretty interested in.
Oh yeah, no, I would love to see this grow to be like a full-time thing that can provide, and get me out of student debt and, like provide for a while and get into big shops and stuff. I would love to see that happen. I've been working in theater for 6 years and I will continue to do it. I think I'm at a point in my life where like I'm starting to shift a little bit. But personally, I would love to be doing more work from home, scoring for films or sound design for, either podcasts or audiobooks or things like that. I really like the creative aspect of that. But I've been doing it for so long that it's not something that's, doesn't have that romantic charm of something new. So I'll keep doing those things, but the hot sauce right now is, I would love to see it go full time. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it pretty much is right now.
Well, even like, you said you worked at a music store also,
Yeah. Yeah.
production on that. Like, you have all these other things that you enjoy doing, and like kind of the sound engineering behind it, I would say. Like, it's a little bit different from what I'm used to. A lot of people usually, like in a play or something, like to be the actor, like to be the main front
Yeah.
stage, never like the back kind of engineer part, which I'm
Oh yeah.
curious to how you are so obsessed with just the sound and engineering aspect behind it.
Sure. Yeah. I would never be on stage. I don't think that's ever going to be a thing. That would be really uncomfortable for me. But sound engineering, it is, I guess, when I think about it, I don't know what pulled me in exactly. I guess it all goes back to being a kid with a Walkman listening to like Nirvana's Incesticide or something in my car looking out the window. And like just albums and music just pulled me in. I've always had pretty much headphones on listening to stuff since I can remember, and playing with cassettes and dubbing tapes. And I mean, like, I've always been interested in it. There was a little school in my hometown that I went to, and yeah, records. I worked in record stores for like, since I was like probably 15 to 23 or something like that. Yeah, and I mean, my great grandfather as well was the inventor of the first sound on film device. So it got us out of silent movies into talking films. So I have this like genetic sort of like history with engineering and audio related things. So that as well has kind of just helped keep that flame alive to stay interested in audio and engineering. And
I can relate to that a little bit too. Like, the last thing I
yeah,
wanted to do was enter radio or do anything with broadcasting. The next thing you know, I'm
yeah,
starting up a podcast, and my dad was like, "It's because we do it, man. It's like, you've been around it your
exactly.
whole entire life." Like, people always like look at like, "Wow, your parents are on the radio or something," to me when I was a kid, and I was like, to
Uh-huh.
me, it was so normalized. Like,
Sure.
I've been around it since I was very little, walking around the studio as like a baby in diapers or something, like, discovering everything. My dad would just take me into work with him in the mornings if I was like faking being home sick from school or something. He's like, "You're not playing Xbox, you're coming with me." I'm like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, but you loved it, I bet, like being in the studio and just as a kid, like that's such a cool space to be in. There's knobs to twist and like there's just like
Exactly.
lights. The
You
lights are
don't
cool.
know how many times I messed up on-air production when my dad was working when I was a little kid. I would just sneak in, like, you have the on-air sign that's lit up outside. You have the door shut. He's in there like, "You're listening to," and then he's doing like this whole thing, and I just come up like sneak in the room. He sees the door open up, but he doesn't know where I'm at. And I tossed a lacrosse ball at him one time and hit him right in the face while he was in the middle of an on-air production.
I bet
Dude,
it made that episode really good.
he didn't break character at all. I have never he's given me so many kind of like stories of like, one time he got a tattoo on air. He has this
Whoa.
tattoo because my dad's a Kiss fanatic, so he always had a tattoo on his left shoulder, and I always wondered what it was. And he told me a story that this is back when tattoos weren't as quick. He got a 5-hour tattoo while he was working on air. It was a live kind of like
Whoa.
broadcast type thing. and he's sitting there talking about how much pain he's in, but never breaking character. Like I look at that, I'm like, fuck, I'd be screaming my ass off.
Yeah. Damn, your dad sounds like a tough dude.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that. He still is a wimp in some scenarios. When he tries spicy things, he says he's crying from his eyes. I say, okay, that's sweat from your eyes. I got you.
Yeah, yeah, that's wild. It's definitely you're definitely following in the footsteps there. I mean, we don't fall far from the tree, right? I mean, it's naturally happens.
Well, it seems like just like when you're out kind of discovering who you are, it turns out like the very first influences in the beginning of your life seem to be the ones that you end up falling back into.
Yeah, I mean, you have nothing really else to base yourself off of. So whether it's a nurture or nature thing, it's like you either are just emulating what you know and responding to people the way that like your father or your mom like responds to people because that's what you've seen in the world, or maybe there is some underlying genetic code or something that's like guiding you and how you conduct yourself in life. But
Well, it really
I don't
brings
know.
the question people spending, like even me, I'm only 22 years old, but I'm spending every day thinking, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? And people sometimes
Sure.
find it super early in life, and sometimes they don't find it until the very end, and sometimes they never find it. And it's like that one
Yeah.
question of where do I fit, like a puzzle piece in life, trying to find that slot or find that thing. It's like everyone's on this quest, and I feel like this quest is it's pretty easy mostly because it's right in front of our face, but we're so busy trying to look past and look beyond.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would say the being aware of what you're doing and having a mission that feels like real or good in your heart is pretty rare. Like most people don't have that locked in. And I know that it took me a long, long, long time to find a path that worked. And yeah, I feel like you got to do a lot of real digging. I mean, life is not easy. It's not easy. And in order to get on a path that feels true and real and positive, it takes a lot of digging usually.
And sometimes that's just making a hot sauce company.
Sometimes it's hot sauce, yeah.
Dude, I just thought of a really good name for that blueberry and lemon hot sauce.
It's not blueberry zest.
That's a cool one if you're trying to make a porn, but I was thinking atomic sucker punch.
Okay, yeah. Oh, you're saying if I put it out, Nukes Atomic Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch is good. Yeah, that's a good one.
Because it's a lemon, and everything with lemon has to do with like somebody basically with looking like they got punched in the face.
Yeah, I do love the brainstorm element of coming up with the names. Like, I don't know how many crazy ass names I've just like been lying in bed telling my girlfriend about, like, what about this? What about that? And she's like rolling her eyes. I got one right now. I'm not going to reveal it, but I'm stoked about it.
Come on,
But
now I'm curious. You can't toss
I,
that one out there. I just look at like I've talked to people that own punk bands. I've talked to people that do this. I'm like, depending on what you're making, it's so easy to think of a name. Like if you think of a reggae band, you could call it Jiving in the Tropics or something. And then you could have something like with like punk songs or something like Bigfoot's Hammered Nail or something. Like you just take a random name generator, take a bunch of different combinations and throw them together. If you're making a funk song, call it Space Wave Funk Train or something. Like it's just
there
so
it is. That sounds like a hit right there.
it's like, you could easily create something with hot sauce. All I got to do is stick with something with demonology. I don't know why, but back to what we're saying in the beginning with the whole like food
Well, this
aspect.
fire and demons and shit like that. I mean, it all correlates.
Well, we're talking about the beneficial parts of the community, the food communities. The Last Supper, nobody got murdered at the Last Supper. There you go. Like that was the whole thing. But now we have hot sauces like demons, hell, fire, God. It's like, why don't we have an angel hot sauce? Like angel's fallen wing or something, like something that's a little heavenly.
I like the idea of a Last Supper hot sauce with like a photoshopped version of that painting with them like putting the hot sauce on their food and Jesus like holding a bottle or
Or
something.
holding like water because his mouth's on fire, like he's trying to pour it out.
Yeah, something like that.
Look, there
Sounds
you go. You have the marketing aspect to literally product or like do Photoshop, all these other things that a lot of places or companies aren't really doing too. I mean, have you thought about merch at all?
yeah, we've got merch and I want to keep that side going too. I love having stuff like that. We got a bunch of koozies that I try and when I have koozies, I'll throw one in for free with a bottle. I got shirts and we're starting to run a little low on them, but I got a local guy that prints them for me, so I can always just put in another order. But yeah, we got ladies shirts and men's shirts of just one design for now. I had some nice like holographic stickers for a while, but those are all gone. But yeah, I want to make more fun stuff. Or I want to do tanks too. I made a couple limited edition tank tops for summer. I just went to Mexico for 3 weeks, and I was like, I gotta have a tank top down there. So I made like a custom Newks tank top, and I gave one to someone else who wanted one. But yeah, merch is here. It's on the website newksauces.com, and it's always gonna try and keep them always in stock and see if things. I don't know. I got to make more stuff, I guess.
The fun part is creating that type of stuff. Like, I mean, even for me, like I got a little bit of merch too, and someone actually got a merch shirt before I did, which I thought I was going to be the first one to have my own out of the blank T-shirt. But I find it fun because like even with the name out of the blank, I just put it on a grilled cheese and then had the grilled cheese floating in space. Like, there you go. And like people are like, why? And it's like, why out of the blank? That's why. It's like it fits for anything. Same thing with like nuke. You could easily make a sticker and then have an atomic symbol on it and post that shit on everything.
Yeah. Thankfully, I've got my artist, and she's got such a quick turnaround, and she's just so talented that I can just throw an idea at her, and she'll just come back within 24 hours, pretty much, with like a nice idea that I can give notes on, and then before you know it, I got another one. Like, I haven't shared it yet, but I will say I'm trying to get into seasoning, salts, and spice blends, and we've got a really rad logo. I just need to, it's so hard to run a business by yourself, 100% by yourself. So like, until I get 1,200 bottles made this week, then I can focus on maybe finishing the claymation commercial. Then maybe I can work on the salts. Like, if I had a team, which eventually will happen, then people can be multitasking. But for now, it's like I have to do one thing at a time, kind of. But I will have salts and seasoning blends.
Yeah, Two Angry Cats actually sent me some of their salts. I like it, but it's really
Yeah.
you gotta be careful about what you spread it on. Josh, that was a very creative idea. It's just if you do too much, like for me, when I do a spice or something, I dump the shit out of it on everything towards like half a bottle. I did that with the salts, and then biting into it felt like someone just slammed my head into gravel, and I was just chewing gravel.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like, and I think he actually, we were talking about that. Like, he asked how I did the nuke salt, and I gave him some tips, but it's like I still have to dial it in before I put it to market. Like, I give some of the samples to friends, but mostly just for opinions, because I know personally it's not there yet. It's too like, it's hot, but it's not hot enough. It's not potent enough in flavor. That the only way you're going to get flavor that doesn't just taste like salt is by putting a lot on, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I don't want people to just be dousing themselves with sodium. So I gotta dial in the recipe before I can bring it to market. But it's close. I have a smoky chipotle sauce that's or sorry, a smoky chipotle salt that's made from my sauce. That's almost done. Like, I've almost got that one dialed in. But I would like to be more potent, and I got to figure out how to do that. But yeah,
Even
yeah,
trying to break into the spice industry too. Like if you need any help with like reaching out to barbecue enthusiasts or people, like that's a great way to promote your stuff. If you find an influencer who's
mm,
involved in that community to, take a picture or do something of using your rubs or using your type of sauce on their food, I'm
mm.
more than happy to connect you to some. I've done the same thing with most hot sauce companies and most barbecue guys, connecting everybody because we're all practically doing the same thing, trying to make a name for ourselves too. So we can all do that by helping each other as well.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, send them my way.
I will. And I really appreciate you, Jake, for coming out and doing the podcast and telling everybody a little bit about yourself and also the sauce, too. And I want to give you here a minute at the end to kind of promote your content so people can find your hot sauce and maybe order a couple bottles.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thanks, Robbie. This has been fun. Great time. And yeah, we got a website now. We're called Newks Hot Sauce, newksauces.com. That's pretty much all you need to get any hot sauce you need to be getting. We got a bundle of like 2 bottles for $24, free shipping throughout the US. I think I've got a bottle up for $14 a pop, free shipping US. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. We're going to be in Fuego Box Loco subscription in May. So if you're a Fuego Box person, you'll be seeing it. If not, check them out, fuegobox.com. You can get like 3 bottles a month sent to you for I think it's like $60 or something like that a month. But yeah, it's pretty rad. That's it. That's really all I got.
Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Out of the Blank podcast, and stay tuned for our next episode.